My name is Fritha Krygsman. I'm a student here at SITE with a fascination for all things philosophy, but more specifically, and the reason we're all gathered here today, I love a morality problem called the trolley problem. But before I get right into telling you all about the trolley problem and everything about it, I would like to preface one thing quickly. So if you can't tell already, I have a slight habit of speaking too fast and in incoherent ways. I get nervous when I'm up on stage, so I've provided you with these very handy slides to look at behind me. All right, so first off, you might be wondering, what is the trolley problem? I mentioned it quickly in that I have a fascination with it. So the trolley problem is morality slash ethical experiment. Yeah, that's what it is. So in the trolley problem, you are a switchman operating a switch that can switch between two train tracks. A trolley is zooming down one of those train tracks directly towards 5 people. All 5 people have been tied down to the train tracks. They are screaming, they are crying, they are going to die, unless you decide to switch the switch and move to the other track, to which one person has been tied down to and is crying. So where this becomes a bit of an issue is with moral contradictions. So do you want to throw yourself in there? Do you want to become the direct cause of the one person's death, or do you just let everything happen and let those 5 people die passively? So these were taken, there's many tests, many surveys on the trolley problem. One specifically from the University of Michigan showed that 90% of people would switch the trolley, move it to the other track to save the many over the few, which is, I mean, yeah, logical explanation. However, in a survey given to philosophers specifically, only 70% of people switched to the other track, and 8% didn't, and 24% decided to either not do anything, couldn't answer, refused to answer, or had a completely different answer altogether. So, trolley problem is a bit of a polarizing issue in the philosophy community, with some philosophers such as Sam Gardner, a man I've spoken to on this subject and a little bit else, dedicating large chunks of their career to this, and others going as far as to call it useless because it is too much of an outlandish situation. So the first kind of concept of a trolley problem was from a man named Frank Chapman Sharp at the University of Wisconsin in 1905. It wasn't directly the same as the one I've mentioned today, in which the person you would be switching the trolley to would be your child, and the 5 people were obviously not your child. There were also some other slight differences, which I'm not going to get into, mainly because I can't quite remember them, but it's not quite the same. The more modernized, and the version I'm talking about today was first innovated by a woman named Philippa Foot in her 1700s or maybe 1800s essay on the doctrine of double effect, in which she mentioned not only this most popular version of the trolley problem, but a wide array of trolley problems, which were all then categorized and given the name trolley problem by a woman named Judith Jarvis Thompson in a response paper to Philippa Foot's paper, which had a lot of polarizing opinions in it. I'm not going to get into that. However, as I just mentioned with Philippa Foot, there are so many variations on this trolley problem, bringing in different amounts of moral conflict, bringing in different anythings. So the first thing I'm going to get into is the fat man variation, in which the trolley is going towards the 5 people. They're gonna die, but you have the opportunity, you're standing on an overpass, and you can push a man over the overpass and let the trolley run into him instead of the 5. And this sort of direct contact has brought many who even in the main situation were to switch to the one to just refuse, because it's a much more difficult thing to pull a switch and let somebody die than to just directly push them over the edge. There's also a variation, I can't remember exactly who came up with this one, but in which the fat man is the one who put the 5 people down on the tracks. So is it like a you hurt somebody, you get hurt situation? I don't know. And then the other variation I'd like to get into is the medical variation, in which you are a professional organ transplant surgeon. You have 5 dying patients, all in need of a separate organ. They're all dying, they're on their way up, and your clinic is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and a traveling man comes in for a typical checkup. He's like, just checking up, and you notice during his checkup, during x-rays and other things, that he has all 5 organs needed for these 5 people to survive, ripe for the harvesting, ready to be taken and put into other people. Do you kill the man, take all his organs and give them to the 5 people, or do you just let him walk free? There was also an idea of, what if this man would not be noticed if he was to go missing, if he was to disappear under mysterious circumstances? Would that change the answer of killing him and giving the 5 organs? That's the idea of the consequences of your actions. Do you face them? And then the final variant I'd like to discuss today is one we're all living through right now. It's used by politicians, by news outlets, by doctors, by everyone to a certain extent every day. And that variation, of course, is COVID-19. So back in March and April, when the world was shutting down for the first time and still in the constant shutdowns and reopenings, the governments and people in general have 2 main choices to make. Do you shut down the entire country, lock everyone down, keep them under house arrest, etc., to save as many lives as possible from this deadly novel virus? And then by doing that, possibly risk having an economic crash by not having anybody out there supporting capitalism. However, if you choose not to lock down your country, and you're like, okay, like Canada and many other countries did, you choose to keep things open, or even if you do decide to lock things down, open them up and then close them and then open them up again constantly, which, not the best decision, but do you try to do that to keep your economy flowing? One or the other? No real right answer. Everything is sort of in chaos, and if you don't lock down the country, you don't have a population to use the economy. If you do lock down the country, you risk your economy. Lose-lose situation, but that's all I have for you here today, folks.